All right. Welcome everyone to our study session, part 7 of the text Ancient Language of the Soul. Today we will be reading through the final chapter, chapter 12. And afterwards, I will announce both the next text we'll be going into, as well as make another announcement in celebration of completing this first text of our study session series. As you can see on the screen right now is the webpage dedicated to this book, Ancient Language of the Soul, The Mystic Knowledge of Mantra, available on the mysticknowledge.org website under the new book sale link. On this page, you can find more information about the book, as well as links to Amazon and to the publisher, where you can order both a physical copy and an electronic version. So let's go ahead and begin today's reading. So as per usual, I'm just reading through the text, and then in a Sunday open discussion, we will get to some highlights and bullet points from the text, as well as pose some questions to the author, Mr. Nehemiah Davis, to get some additional insights into the text, as well as look at some the diagrams and illustrations and handouts that Nehemiah has put together throughout the years. It'll also help us further understand and digest the material. Just give me a minute here. Let me finish getting set up, and then we will begin today's reading. Okay. Chapter 12, Initiation into Mantra. As stated in earlier chapters, mantra is a mystical school of sacred sounds, which creates sonic vibrations through the subtle vortex centers or chakras and subtle nervous system or nadic system that stimulates the brain and various levels of consciousness. The mere uttering or chanting of a holy mantra increases the channels of pranas by purifying the Nadi pathways and allowing the mental bodies to up or increase its frequency levels by increasing the quantity and quality of mental and pranic energies. The correct performance of mantra chanting or japa will enable you to increase your powers of concentration and contemplation for those who are psychically inclined. With continuous chanting of the mantra correctly in a positive fashion, it will enhance all spiritual progress by purifying or cleaning the aura of negative embedded thought forms. Mantra is designed to move subtle energies within the auric bodies and also attract subtle energies from outside the auric bodies. becoming charged layers of the auric bodies with the vital life forces of prana, which are subtle cosmic energies of the universe. As stated in the last chapter, the chanting of mantra is a key component to spiritual development. In the Japa Yoga book by Swami Shivananda, he clearly lists a number of benefits obtained through the chanting of mantra. The following list is a restatement of the benefits of mantra chanting with a little more added elaboration. Mantra chanting purifies the heart. Mantra chanting purifies the heart by inundating the subtle bodies with higher mental frequency of mind energies and a flow of balanced cosmic energies. The heart chakra is the home of the third aspect of sound. It is an aspect of consciousness that gives meaning and definition to the configuration of cosmic energies that make up consciousness. This is denoted with the tantric symbolism that describes the heart chakra, where it places the Sanskrit vowels on the yantra, while all the other major chakras along the spine represent the consonant letters of the Sanskrit alphabet within the yantra symbolism. All aspects of cosmic energies, pranas, must pass through the heart chakra. In doing so, this aspect of the higher consciousness places a defining signature on all cosmic energies passing through this chakra. This aspect of consciousness that operates through the heart chakra is sustained on all the realms of consciousness below its manifestation, meaning the chakras below. The ancient tantric texts describe the heart chakra as the original base chakra that housed the dormant power of Kundalini during man's base conscious states before he had his karmic fall from the use of free will and the creation of etheric and astral distortion was the result. Correct mantra chanting harmonizes the heart chakra forces, which initiates the purifying qualities of the heart center. Mantra chanting steadies the mind through increased concentration. The sonic vibrations of chanting mantra narrows the mental energies within the mental bodies, stabilizing the surface chatter of the mental bodies and synchronizes the mental energies down one channel, creating a concentrated wave of thought that centers and steadies the mind of man. When chanting the mantra, the mind focuses in on the performance of the chanting and the regulation of breath during this process. This mental process sharpens the conscious mind and trains the mind to focus in on one thing at a time. On a subtle level, the mind focuses in on one thing, especially a mantra, being that it has special qualities embedded in its makeup. The mantra excites the chakra system and causes the auric particles to rub against themselves as they accelerate the spinning of the auric substance within the aura. This acceleration of the aura settles to the surface of the aura mental bodies, allowing the conscious mind to have a clear and precise pathway of thought. Mantra chanting destroys the 6 basic enemies of character. Man's consciousness resides in the chakra system. His character and personality develop from the discolored thoughts and actions that make up the auric layers of distorted energies that enter and exit the lower chakras in which the human race of Earth works from in building his mental and physical world. The act of man choosing the free will to work outside of the laws of karma has placed huge amounts of negative pressures on his mental and physical existence. This forces him to operate from the lower vortex centers of consciousness, the base chakra, sex chakra, and solar plexus chakra. Countless negative energy signatures from wrong thought and actions of exercising his free will outside the laws laid down by God is built up as discolored mental mass within the auric bodies, defining the mental character and personality of man. The chanting of mantra redefines this mental mass of substance by destroying the 6 major basic enemies that make up this substance. Mantra chanting destroys birth and death through the purification of the aura. When there is no contamination in the aura, then there is no reason for death or rebirth. We are told that man's consciousness is manifested within the power of Kundalini. The power and presence of Kundalini expresses itself through the 4 aspects of sound that radiates from the dormant state of Kundalini located within the base of the spine chakra. This sound that radiates from Kundalini passes through or deposits itself in the 4 chakras above the base of the spine chakra. The Kundalini 4 aspects of sound that expresses itself in the chakras map out the specification for all the vehicles of consciousness that the soul's consciousness, Kundalini, will work through. As a result of the contamination of the aura by man's embracing the actions of free will that led it astray from the laws of karma, instead of freedom that keeps him within the confined laws of karma. These contaminants clogged the natural pathways of prana and mind energy frequencies that enter and exit the chakras, creating huge amounts of karmic pressures that manifest itself within the auric field that limits the expression of embedded powers of the Kundalini's 4 aspects of sound. The purification of the aura destroys the need for rebirth and therefore death. Mantra chanting burns sins. Mantra chanting burns sins or the embedded negative residue of negative thoughts and actions attracted to the auric field of man. Mantra has the power to mold and shape mind substance and prana. This power of mantra, when activated, synchronizes the chakras to the point where it excites the massive energy particles that make up the hundreds of thought forms within the auric field of man. These energy particles are excited to the point where they all move in one direction when activated by the power of mantra. The constant chanting of the mantra accelerates movement of the auric particles, where it throws off and burns up the negative thought forms that plague the auric field. Mantra chanting scorches samskaras. The chanting of mantra scorches samskaras or negative embedded thought forms within the auric structure. The samskaras are the mental impressions left behind by the thoughts and actions of man. These samskaras are positive and negative impressions carrying with it powerful seeds of good circumstance and bad circumstance. All of them lessons for life brought about by the karmic pressures manifested by these samskaras. The perfectly balanced energies placed into action from the chanting of mantra accelerates and configures the auric field to the point where it scorches the negative samskara by raising the consciousness of man to a higher perspective where the bad circumstance have no room to grow and express itself, leaving room only for the good circumstance to express itself. Mantra chanting scorches the surface of the auric field, removing negative samskara. Mantra chanting annihilates attachment. Attachment is a result of the illusion brought about by the auric field's karmic pressures that express themselves as character traits within man's personality. The auric field of man masks the great powers of the soul of man through its tools of expression that help to sustain the illusion and bring basic balance in the form of character and personality. With the personality and character traits, man builds desires, which become attachments on his many levels of existing throughout his journey of life. The practice of mantra chanting eventually annihilates the illusion that gives power and life to attachments. Mantra chanting induces renunciation and dispassion. After a time of practicing japa, the chanting of mantra with great passion and respect, the aura of man will find itself being purified, and the mental bodies will be freed from the illusions of negative desires and passions. which will only leave room for the opposite. At this point of japa, the student will easily be able to induce a state of renunciation and dispassion. Mantra chanting roots out all desires. The purification of the mind and body roots out all desires. This purification of mind and body is a result of the nadis, mental bodies, subtle bodies, astral bodies, auric bodies, and physical body being purified in the sonic vibrations of the mantra powers. Mantra chanting makes one fearless. In the practice of japa, chanting mantra, the aura begins to spin. The acceleration of the aura creates a screen of protection and purification. This releases man from the fears that he has built up over lifetimes of reincarnation. The screen of protection purifies the auric bodies and reflects the pranic waves of energy flow that are discolored with negative thought forms. The aura becomes a positive conduit for mind substance and pranic force when the screen of protection is created by the repetition of mantra. During the chanting of mantra, the aura spins, and some of the negative thoughts with the aura are thrown off, and the other falls down by the lower part to the lower part of the body, below the base of the spine. The repetition of mantra results in clearing a pathway for the major chakras along the spine to allow a free flow of energy on several levels of uncontaminated by gross and subtle negative thought forms. Mantra chanting removes delusion. Delusion is one of the character impurities that is manifested from the massive electromagnetic astral field of atmosphere that surrounds the human body called the aura. The electromagnetic astral field developed from the past and present wrong thoughts and actions breeds character impurities. These character impurities manage to offset the natural flow of energies, be it mental or vital flow of energies. The mental and vital flow of energies in the discolored electromagnetic astral field attract and build the wrong circumstances that serve to cloud the sensory perception, creating a sense of delusion. The practice of mantra clears the mind, calms the auric and mental bodies, and eventually removes the delusion that clouds the sensory perception of his mind. Mantra chanting gives supreme peace. With the removal of desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, attachment, hatred, passion, and other impurities, the auric field is clear of its obstruction that blocks the Nadi pathways, chakras, allowing man to tap into the supreme peace. Mantra chanting develops divine love. Divine love is manifested through the power of preservation. Love is an all-pervasive energy that is used to preserve all life within the universe. We live by the grace of God's love. This is evidenced in the design of our own physical and subtle bodies. The physical body demonstrates the power of love and preservation through the primary organ of the body called the heart, where it pumps the red blood cells throughout the body and pushes the carbonated blood cells into the lungs to be reoxygenated. This one serves as the sustaining factor. Within the etheric structure that the heart chakra has the same sustaining quality, where all the 5 major pranas passes through it and gives meaning and definition to it. It holds the essence of the sonic vibrations that assist the kundalini aspects of sound in manifesting its power of bringing life into an active, stable, and balanced manifestation. Mantra chanting unites a devotee with the Lord. Mantra is a language of the gods. The soul uses mantra to bring all levels of consciousness into being. The spirit used mantra to bring the soul into manifestation. The absolute, God, uses mantra to bring the not whole Shakti consciousness from the whole Shakti consciousness, giving the appearance of manifested life to that part of the not whole. In each chakra lies the endless power of the Absolute in its fullest. It is the spiritual germ used by the Spirit to manifest and sustain all life within the sphere of its creation. The purification of the nadis and auric bodies makes way for the devotee to make a connection with the supreme source of the all in all that resides in the chakra as the bindu, a spiritual germ of the all in all, the Absolute. The chanting of mantra activates the chakras and pushes and pulls on the flow of prana to the point where a balance is found and creates a clear pathway to experience the omnipresence of the Lord in all its glory. Mantra chanting gives health, wealth, strength, and long life. Mantra is a natural or cleansing tool when practiced properly. It destroys and throws off the building blocks that are used to construct bad circumstances that obstruct good circumstances. It makes way for success by removing room for failure. Mantra chanting brings God consciousness. It is fitting that the Sanskrit letters are used to describe the powers of the chakras as mantras and seed mantras. As I stated before, mantra is the language of the gods, and it is used to describe the power of God expressed through the symbolism of the major chakras along the spine. When the nadis are purified, chakras activated, and the mind cleared and focused with the power of concentration brought about by the constant practice of japa, the practitioner brings on states of consciousness with visions that awaken man's awareness. And the visions of contemplation have been controlled through the annihilation of all the character impurities that blocks the pathway of the pure flow of cosmic energies, balanced and moving through the Brahmic journey of Sushumna, tapping into the God consciousness at every chakra level that sustains man's consciousness on every realm of existence. Mantra chanting bestows eternal bliss. When the practitioner of mantra reaches the level where he or she has the ability to control the mind and can concentrate for long periods of time without interruption from the mind, then he or she is closer to eternal bliss. When the practitioner has developed concentration into a state of contemplation and removed the character impurities of the auric field that anchors the spiritual progress in regions of the lower consciousness, then he or she is closer to eternal bliss. When the practitioner can control the mental and vital energies that flow through the Nadi pathways, creating various levels of consciousness and activating the powers of the chakras, then he or she is closer to eternal bliss. When the practitioner can merge the mental and vital cosmic energies as one complete energy force and move it through the Sushumna consciously, then he can experience eternal bliss daily. Mantra chanting awakens the dormant powers of Kundalini. Constant and continued practice of mantra can bring about the awakening of the dormant powers of Kundalini. Eventually, Kundalini rises in its entirety from the chanting of mantra. The chakras are activated through the constant chanting of mantra. As stated earlier, the activation and purification of the Nadi pathways helps to bring about a partial activation of the chakras. When a strong degree of concentration is obtained and mantra has begun to live within the practitioner, he is able to invoke prana to easily clear the Nadi pathways and partially activate the chakras to prepare for a conscious movement of the power of Kundalini. When the practitioner can chant mantra for at least 10 to 12 hours straight in a deep, concentrated manner, he can begin to untie or activate and move the power of Kundalini that lies dormant at the base of the spine. When this concentrated power of 12 hours can be placed into a 10-minute space of time and concentrate on the activation of Kundalini, it is said that this power moves up the spine, Of course, the activation of Kundalini should only be attempted under the guidance of a qualified adept or master. When the soul has activated the Kundalini consciousness into full manifestation, the Kundalini rises up through Sushumna, a tiny, hollow and hallowed channel within the spinal column, that the sacred, pure Kundalini power travels through as an awakened consciousness of the soul. When the soul hears the mantras chanted from the omnipresence of God with awakened consciousness, with this great love acquired from the soul, hearing these holy sounds from God that vibrate through our celestial host, the soul chants these holy mantras of the chakras with a heart full of fashioned respect. When the Kundalini consciousness of the soul rises, it awakens each major chakra it reaches along the spinal column. The awakening of the chakras moves man's consciousness from a limited, centered realm of consciousness to a universal cosmic state of consciousness that recognizes all life as one unmanifested intelligence of the Absolute that lives through all manifested things. In the awakened states of Kundalini consciousness, man has purified his nadis and aura and have entered the deep states of meditation, where he hears the holy creative sound of God being issued from the mighty creative being of this solar system, the sun. I wrote this book in hopes of opening a conversation on the importance and sacredness of the ancient metaphysical science of mantra. A lot more can be said on this subject. I could write at least 2 more books on mantra and still not touch on all the points of the sacred science. The power of mantra is truly the key to unlocking the radiant qualities of prana and a tool used to heighten the consciousness of man. I hope that this book sheds some light on the tremendous power of the sacred science. Earlier in this book, I stated several times that a mantra should only be passed on by someone who has had this great power of mantra living within them, giving them the ability and right to pass the holy mantra on to another according to the supreme laws of God that govern this sacred power. We live in a fortunate time, being that a rare Western master of yoga, Dr. George King, designed a mantra initiation recording for any metaphysical student that requests an initiation into the holy science of mantra. Dr. George King was a student of yoga that spent 10 solid years of 10 to 12 hours a day practicing various meditative and yogic pranayama exercises to develop control over his higher faculties. His extreme efforts led him to the ability to consciously raise the powers of Kundalini and enter the deep states of meditation, such as samadhi and cosmic consciousness. After mastering several yoga systems such as Raja, Dhani, Bhakti, Mantra, and Kundalini Yoga, Dr. George King was contacted by several cosmic avatars to take on several world missions for humanity as a whole. In taking on these various world missions, Dr. Sri Yogiriji George King brought the world some of the most profound metaphysical teachings that the world has seen in the last 5,000 to 6,000 years. For 43 years, Dr. King conducted many world missions on behalf of mankind that saved us from the brink of disaster many times. And in the process, he left the world with a metaphysical, mystic order, the Aether Society, to continue to run several karmic stabilizing world missions that helps to hold the light. The first 10 to 15 years of the Aether Society's existence seem to have taken on missions where the founder and president, Dr. George King, performed feats of spiritual actions and brought to the world teachings that haven't been seen since the days of Sri Krishna and Moses. If we were to try to find a comparison to the body of his works and service, the last 28 years of Dr. George King's mission here on earth was spent creating and instituting karmic stabilizing tools that the world can use through the guidance and teachings of the Aether Society to help the student of the new age. Dr. Sri Yogiriji George King was truly, in the words of the Hindus, a Maha Bodhisattva, which is a great avatar from another sphere who came to save Earth and humanity. For further information, contact the Aetherius Society's missions and teachings. Visit the website www.aetherius.org. One of the greatest gifts Dr. Sri Yogiji George King gave to the world was initiatory mantra tape recording with 11 mantras on it for any metaphysical student who is earnestly asking to be initiated in the holy science of mantra. On this recording, Dr. George King initiates you into no less than 11 mantras of great power and beauty. You are taught how to use these mantras with no less than 20 demonstrations of the correct intonation of these mantras by students of Dr. King. The mantras are also printed on a card insert, which comes with this album. If you practice these mantras as taught, they will become an important milestone in your mental and spiritual education and progress. This story mantra tape recording is 1 hour and 19 minutes long. I strongly recommend that those true students that are looking to receive a mantra initiation from a master of yoga to enhance their personal and spiritual development to get the initiatory mantra tape offered by the Aetherius Society is the answer. I pray to God that you accept these truths as an earnest seeker of truth and treasure them as a sacred knowledge of God. All right. And thus concludes the ancient language of the soul text. And feel free to go back and read through it several times. Study the text, make your highlights in your notes and bullet points, questions, and at any time, bring them to an open discussion or to class, and we're glad to have those questions and observations addressed for you. For our next reading, I am tentatively thinking of picking up Yogi Ramacharaka's text. If you go to the mysticknowledge.org website and under ebook library -1 link in the navigation bar, the first section you'll see there is Yogi Ramacharaka or William Walker Atkinson. This is subject to change, meaning the change in what we'll cover next. You'll know by Sunday, Monday, the latest, when I put the posting announcement for the next study session, exactly which text we'll be reading. But tentatively right now, I'm thinking of working through these first 13 texts here. Number 1 being the Hindu science, yogi science of breath, and moving on to the 14 lessons advanced course, and then so forth from that. Then after finish the Ramacharaka text, I was thinking of moving into, let's see, I think Shivananda. Is that here or is it on page 1? Let's see. I was thinking of going into Shivananda and then Vivekananda, Brahma Prasad, and then the Theosophical Society text, which is Annie Besant, Maple Collins, and Alice Bailey. The more difficult texts, such as example, Sir John Woodroffe or Arthur Avalon and Hanna Blavatsky, is going to leave those for later after we move through some of these more easier to understand and basic texts. Again, this is subject to change. Basically, I'm going to speak it over with Mr. Nehemiah Davis and get his input and see which text would be better to for us to study in what order. But tentatively for now, we're going to pick up with the Science of Breath, the first book listed here on the Yogi-Rama Charaka / William Walker Atkinson. So you can go to the website, you can download that book as a PDF, and you can begin studying it in preparation for our next study session.